Hey guys, welcome back to the video. It's my third time trying to record this because it was on my brain last 2 times, but I'll figure it out this time. I just had so many mistakes I didn't feel like editing them out. But we're going to hop right into this. So this is a new series I'm making. It's just like Roblox Studio Basics. You're just going to get into more advanced stuff. You're just going to watch the whole series if you want to learn how to do like almost everything you can in Studio. Probably going to be a pretty long series, but this is the first episode. We're going to go into the basics right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and make a folder. So if we click the plus in Explorer, which can be opened through View, Explorer, and then Properties, we're going to have Properties, and I would suggest moving Properties over to the left side, so they're not back-to-back right here. So what we're going to do is search Folder and press Enter, and we should have a new folder. Now we're going to rename this folder to Objects. To do that, we can either just click it, and then click it again near the name, and rename it Objects, or you can press F2 on your keyboard when it's selected, right-click, rename, which is also F2, so just press F2. We're going to click the plus right here, and we are going to insert a part. You can insert a part, corner wedge part, truss part, wedge part, doesn't matter. They all have the same properties that we will be editing. So, a plastic building block, the fundamental component of Roblox. So this is how, so if you have a bunch of these, you can make some castle. I don't know what y'all want to make, but, so what we're going to do, we're just going to rename this Part 1. And we are just going to go over to the properties and resize it to 4x4x4, which should look something like this. And also, you'll see in your base plate, if you selected the new version of the base plate, all of these are 4x4x4, so if you wanted to perfectly align these, you can go over to the Model tab, Move, check the Move box. It should be checked by default, and set it to 1 set. What this basically does is makes it so it will move in intervals, sort of like this. Now mine isn't exactly sized perfectly, so we're going to uncheck this. And what we're going to do is we're going to hold tab down here. So what this is going to do, it's going to bring the move tool to where the part is. So we're going to hold tab down here, and we're going to drag it over so it's almost perfectly aligned. We're going to go over to the other side and make sure, so it should be perfectly aligned now. Now if we go over to move and select one stud, as you can see it's moving, like it's moving right on the grid, just how we want it to. So what we're going to do is we're just going to duplicate these cubes all around. Just like this. And you can rename them like Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. And also to duplicate them, it is Control-D. I did not mention that before, but it is. So we're going to have these cubes like this. And then we're going to highlight them all, Control-D, and we're going to mass duplicate them. We're going to have them all over the place like this. Alright, there we go. So we have all of these cubes. It has this nice design right here. It looks like a spider web. So, we're going to rename all of these parts right here. But we're going to do it using a script. Now, this might be a little complicated for beginners, so we're going to do this later. But we're just going to have these objects here for now. So I'm just going to go ahead and select all these. So you can select the first part, hold Control, and click the bottom. Make sure one of them is not selected, though. We're just going to rename all of these. So we need to find where name is. So you see the name property. Just name them all part. So we're going to be editing Part 1. So we're going to insert a new script in ServerScript service. Now, you might be wondering, what is ServerScript service? It is just a place where you can run server scripts only, and it cannot be accessed by the client. So exploiters cannot access anything that is in server storage or ServerScript service. Only the server can. Meaning, people who are trying to like exploit, get things from server storage, they can't really do that. And exploiting is kind of like falling apart now because of the new anti-cheat. So soon enough, y'all probably shouldn't have to worry about anti-cheat anyways. And so client scripts would go in starter GUI, starter character scripts, starter player scripts. Starter character scripts are scripts that go directly into the player model, which is like, you know, like the player like moving around, walking around, it inserts it into the object where the player is. So if we had like our player walking around, all the scripts would be in there. And player scripts would go into the player folder, which would be located in here. It should say not Frindow in here right now because I'm editing in Studio, but for whatever reason it doesn't. I guess Roblox removed that. But we're going to head over to ServerScript service, and we are going to insert a script. So we're going to search script and press enter. Now, make sure you don't insert any of these. Now, a module script, it is a script. It just has like, yeah, you can research it. I don't even know how to explain it. It has like a bunch of functions in it that you can reference inside of the script. We'll make that in a later video. That's probably too advanced right now. So we're going to go ahead and insert a script, and we can rename this script to whatever we want. I'm just going to name it new script. And it's important to be renaming your scripts so in the output if you have any errors or anything, you can see which script it's coming from. So it should say the errors are coming from new script if we have any errors in the first place. So in your script, you should already see print hello world. So if we go ahead and run the code, press it, which is F8, you can see in the output, it says hello world from new script. So another thing we can do with this, we can do warn, and we can type warning. So if you ever want to like debug your code or anything, you want like message, or you want messages to just stand out, you can print a warning, which prints it in orange. And then I'm pretty sure there's another function where you can run error, which isn't really a function that you should be using a lot. I don't really think there's a use for it. I would just use warn. But if you wanted to use this, we can use it. So you just go ahead and run it. We should see the error, and it'll say, yeah, it just lets you make your own errors in your code. Wouldn't suggest doing it. It's just too much. It just like goes all over the place, floods the output. Just use warnings. So just go ahead and do Control A, backspace, delete all this code. Now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and reference our objects folder. So if we want to create a variable, there are two different types of variables. We have global variables and local variables. Global variables are variables that can be used all over the entire script. So if we have functions, which I will get into a minute. Global variables can be referenced inside of the function. Local variables, you can put them inside the function, but you can't use them anywhere else. But you can still put global variables into functions. I don't recommend it though. But we're gonna go ahead and hop right into this. So global variables, we could just do objects equals workspace.objects. And also, if you want to have it autofill everything, you just press tab. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this real quick. So workspace, and then I press tab on my keyboard, and it autofills it for me. Dot objects, we can press the down arrow, tab, and it automatically fills it. So that's a good thing about Roblox's scripting editor. It just does things really fast. So we have this global variable, so we're going to go ahead and make a function. So to make a function, we're just going to put function, test, and we're going to put parentheses, go to the end, and press enter. It should automatically add the end for us. So what we're going to do is we are going to type objects in here. So as you can see, the variable is defined above the function, so we can reference it inside of the function. And if we were normally to define variables inside of the function, we would put local variable equals, and then we're going to make it a string and put test. So if I type variable, it should be working. So we're just going to do print variable so we don't have an error. And if we go ahead and run the function, so to run a function, you're going to go to the end and just type the name of the function and it should run. So if we go ahead and press run, in the output, it should be printing test from line 5, which is inside of our function. So we're going to go ahead and press stop, go back to our script. And what we're going to do is we're going to try to reference the variable outside of the function because we have local inside of it. So if I type print variable, you'll see you don't have anything that autofills because you can't reference it. If you hover over it, it says unknown global variable because it is not a global variable. Now if we go ahead and remove the local part, backspace, we don't have this issue. But now this is underlined in orange. It should work. But it says consider changing it to local because it's being used inside of the function. Because normally global variables would be used outside. And also if you have variables that aren't in a function, you can add local anyway. It's just a good habit to get into. There's still globals. It's just a good habit to get into, yeah. We're going to go ahead and delete all of this code we just made. I'm just showing you guys how the variables work and everything. So we have our objects. So you guys should know how print, warn, error, all that stuff works right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to do objects dot part1 dot color. So if we go over here, we can see the color variable right here. So if we ever want to recolor this part, we can do part1 dot color equals and then color3 dot from RGB. So this is if you want to add a custom color that's not like a preset color. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it yellow. So we're going to do 255, 255, 0. So as you can see, we have this yellow color right here. If you go ahead and run this code, you can see that part 1 turns yellow. Now another thing that we can do is we can change the brick color, which is a preset color. So if we do part.brick color, if we do, part.brick color equals brick color dot new and then you make sure you have quotes, and then you can see all of these different colors right here. So if we put, let's put CJ Brown, for example, and when you run it, it should turn a brownish color. So just like that. So now, let's say we wanted this part to become a sphere though. So now we're gonna have a brown sphere. So we're gonna do objects.part1 dot shape. So as you can see, all these properties are modifiable except for the ones that are dark grayish. So we're gonna do part.shape equals enum dot shape. Okay, wait, that's not what you do actually. I guess there's no enum for that. So part1.shape equals, and if we click here, we can see all the different shapes we can make it. And it isn't called sphere, so we're just gonna go ahead and type ball. So we go ahead and run it. It should turn into a ball. So as you can see, we have a brown ball right here. We have a big brown ball. So we're actually gonna go ahead and change this to black. So if we type really black, or yeah, let's just type black. I think that's what the color is called. So as you can see, we have a big black ball right here. So what we're actually gonna do with this, we're gonna have two big, but not just black. Okay, that's too far now. Okay, so we have a big black ball right here. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna move this ball into the air and we're gonna unanchor it. Now, I don't think I anchored mine already, so as you can see, they are unanchored, which means the parts can move around if they are touched, or if they're in the air, they will fall. So we're going to go ahead and test it. We're going to move part 1 into the air, and if we run it, that part's going to fall because it's not anchored in place. So the big black ball just fell. So we're just going to go ahead and do Control-Z to undo, and it's going to move it right down, and if you ever want to redo things, you can do Control-Y, Control-Z, just like that. And then you can also go up here. And on Mac, it is Command-Z and Command-Y. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to change the position of the ball. So to do this, well, first let's actually anchor them. So none of these are able to move right now. So we just go ahead and highlight them all, press anchor, or you can modify it in the properties. We're going to unselect them, go over to new script. And we're going to do objects.part1.position equals vector3, which is a 3D position within the world. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to want to be changing the y-axis. So we're going to do objects.part1.position.x. So it's going to keep the same x position. We're going to do comma, but what we're going to do instead, so we're going to go ahead and say the current y position. And we're just going to change it to 10. Right now it's at 2. We're just going to change it to 10. Then we're going to do objects.part1.position.z. So if we go ahead and run the code, the part is anchored, so it's not going to fall right now, but we're going to change that in a second. The part, okay, I guess I selected the wrong one, but the part, it does in fact move up. It is changing part 1. Okay. Now we're actually going to modify this code. So what we're going to do, we're just going to do objects.part1.position, or part1.position, plus vector3.new. So this is going to be adding on to the existing position. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put 0, because we're not going to change the x, and then the y we're going to put 10. It's going to move up 10 studs. And then this is going to be 0. So go ahead and run it. It should be in the same spot. It goes up 10 studs now. So we're going to do it. We're going to change the anchored property. So we're going to do objects.part1.anchored equals false. So it's going to set the position up there. It's going to set it to false. And we're going to go ahead and run it. And it is still, in fact, anchored. Why is it still anchored? Okay, part 1. Sorry, guys. Make sure you are referencing the right part. Actually, we're going to go ahead and rename this. We're going to go ahead and rename this part to just object. Or no, we're going to name it big black ball. Or no, we're going to name it ball. Okay, rename it ball. And then we can go ahead and go here. So another thing you do in here, if you do Control F, we type part 1. So just in case you ever like rename a part, you need to change it in your code. We're just going to rename this ball. And we're going to click this button right here to replace all. So now it's named ball, so we don't have that issue again where we accidentally put part. So we go ahead and run it now. The ball is going to fall. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to make it go up a random amount. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the math library. So to use math, you don't have to reference the library like in Python, for example. You have to do import math, or I'm not sure if it's built in. I think it might be built in. So we're gonna go ahead and type math in all lowercase, .random. So what this is gonna do, it is going to generate a random number from 0 to 1, and it could be like 0, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, but that's only if you don't define anything inside of it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make it go up 10 or 20 studs. It'll go between 10 and 20 studs. So it could be 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it only works with integers. So which means it doesn't work with decimals. So you can't have it print decimals. If you wanted to do that, you could just make it so it divides it. So if we go over to run, you're gonna see it went up that high, and then if we run it again, it should maybe look higher. I don't know if you guys can visibly tell, but what we're gonna do is we're actually going to make a variable for math.random. So we're gonna go above the line, we're gonna press enter, and we're gonna do local random number equals math.random 1020. And we're going to do print random number so we know how much it's going up. We can change this to random number. So the random number generated right here is being referenced here. So we go ahead and press run. And it went up 19 studs this time. And if we run it again, it still went up 19, so we're going to run it again. It went up 16 this time. Okay. So I guess we just have amazing luck for it to go 19. That's like a 5% chance, so I have pretty good luck, guys. So what we're going to do now is we are going to add a string to our output statement. So what I mean by adding a string is we are going to make it say what 16 is, because it's just like 16 in the output. We have a lot of things in the output. We're not going to know what 16 is talking about unless we look at the script name, and if we have a lot of different print statements and a lot of different scripts, it's going to get really confusing. So what we're going to do is we are going to just add a space right here. We're going to go back, we're going to add colons like this, and inside of these colons we're going to put moving the ball up space, and then we're going to go here and put dot dot, we're going to go space here, dot dot, studs, and we're going to add a period to the end. So what this does is it adds a string to the beginning, and then it prints the number and then the text. So we're going to go ahead and run this. As you can see, moving the ball up 17 studs. And usually if you wanted to print like certain things, you have to do toString, but it automatically converts numbers to strings because Lua is just coded that way. In other languages, in other languages, you'd have to convert it to a string. Now we're already at almost the 20-minute mark, but we're gonna go ahead and add one last thing to our code to make it even better. So we're gonna make this run multiple different times inside of the code. So if we go ahead and highlight this, we're going to go ahead and copy it, and we're going to just delete it all. So Control-C, make sure you have the code copied. If you deleted it without copying it, just do Control-Z, it'll come back. So we're going to do Control-Y again, so it's deleted. And we're going to go ahead and add this in a function, because you guys should know how to add a function by now. So we're going to do function, move ball, and we're going to do enter. We're going to paste the code in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do wait 1. So every time it runs the function, it will wait 1 second. So if you wanted to do 0.2, it would run it 0.2 seconds afterwards. So we're gonna do just wait 1 second before dropping the ball, and we're gonna go down here. Now we're gonna add a for loop, which is gonna make it run the function multiple times. So we're gonna have it in a for loop. Okay. Or you could just go like this, move ball, and have it do it like 5 times. So I'm just going to teach you guys how to use a for loop real quick. So this is do move ball. We're going to do wait 2 seconds, and it'll run the ball, it'll move the ball again. So it should be moving the ball, it'll wait 2 seconds, and it moves the ball again. So now we're going to put this in a for loop. We're going to do for I equals, and then 1, always put 1 in the beginning, I, and then the amount of times you want it to repeat. So if we want it to repeat 10 times, then we're going to add do at the end. So as you can see, for I equals 1, 10 do. So that's the amount of times we want it to repeat. We're going to go ahead and add a variable here, though, just so we're not confused on what these numbers are. So we'll do local repeat amount. Let's do capital A equals 10, and we're going to replace the 10 with a repeat amount. We're going to do wait 3 seconds. We're going to do the move ball function. The next thing we're going to want to do is we're just going to do print I, and we're going to add inside the function. So we're going to know how many times the function has ran. So we're just going to do print I, and we're going to add our string to the beginning, and add the dot dots. And we're going to do executed. We're going to do times. So it's going to be executed. It'll say like 2 times or like 1 times or whatever. And so yeah, that's all we have to do. And it's going to repeat it 10 times, but we're going to lower this to 5, just so it's a little shorter. So go ahead and watch this execute. So as you can see, there it goes. It just executed. It'll wait 3 seconds. It'll execute it again. And as you can see, it's printing how many times it executed, and the code should have been completed by now. So it just dropped the ball 5 times now. All right, so let's go ahead and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it executed 5 times. And that's about it for today's tutorial, but I will see you guys in the next video. We're going to be going into a little more in-depth and just coding in Studio. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. And the rest of the series, it'll probably be posted, or the next episode, probably like a day or 2, because I have school. I have to make time. But yeah, see you guys next video.